Hello, fellow hardcore developers who like crafting beautiful and excellent code inside of a proper IDE like Visual Studio 2022. First, let me introduce myself. I am John, and in the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to show you a number of really handy and free extensions that you can install inside of Visual Studio 2022. Took me ages to learn that. These extensions are going to allow you to become more productive. They're also going to allow you to customize how the IDE looks so you can make it banging sick. Yeah. Now, if you haven't come across me before, I do weekly YouTube videos on things like developer productivity, C# trips, configuration, loads of interesting topics like that. So if that kind of stuff floats your boat, the first thing you should do right now before doing anything else is smash the subscribe button. Now, another thing and a quick tip, if you want to learn how to reduce the number of bugs that appear inside of your code base, I've heard that if you click on the like button, then the YouTube algorithm will automatically refactor all of your code, get rid of all those annoying bugs. So clicking on like now is going to make you more efficient as a developer. Hee hee. So assuming you've done those things, enough of this waffle, let's go on and look at some of the good stuff. Let's start the party rolling discussing themes. Now, theme is going to be a quick and easy way for you to change the whole aesthetics of your IDE to make it more customized. Now, within Visual Studio 2022, the way that themes work have been completely reimagined. Now, the nice thing about themes within VS Code is that you go to Tools, you go to Theme, and now you can pick from one of many different themes. Now, this is a big improvement over 2019 where you had to piss about with loads of settings. So I'm not going to insult your intelligence and tell you what a theme is. If you've used Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code, you'll understand the process. Now, because themes are fairly new to Visual Studio, you'll notice there's not that many. So if we do a search in the Visual Studio codes, you can see that we've got 7,500. And if we do a search within Visual Studio, we've only got 300. Now, the good news is that there's a tool written by Microsoft which will allow you to convert a theme in VS Code to Visual Studio. So if there's a theme that you really love and you want it to work in Visual Studio, you can go through that process and manually convert it yourself. Now, the theme that I recommend that you use is called a Dracula. So as you can see, there's this Dracula theme here, 18,000. Then let's have a look at it in action. So I think Dracula goes really well with this dark blue theme that I'm using. As you can see straight away, I can zoom in. It's very easy to read the code, very easy to differentiate between like the operators, the modifiers, the variables, method names, data, arguments. And if we look at say like our CSS files, again, you can see that it's really easy to differentiate between everything. And it's quite pleasing on the eye. So if you're not a big fan of this one, the other theme that I quite like, which I've used multiple times in VS Code, is Winter is Coming. Again, it's free. You can download this one. So if you're looking to pimp up the aesthetics within your Visual Studio, get yourself a theme, get on board with the Dracula. The next extension that we're going to look at is going to give your IDE a real custom feel. And that's because it's going to allow you to associate a custom background image to Visual Studio. Now, the extension that's going to allow you to do this is called Claudia IDE. Downloaded over 300,000 times. You can see it's super popular, especially seeing it was only released with a Visual Studio 2022. Now, when you install the plugin, you're going to get a custom anime picture popping up on your left right hand side. Anime is not my bag, but the good news about this extension is you can set any custom background image. You can even set it as a slideshow. Now, the background image that I'm using in today's video is taken from this 50 minimalist desktop wallpaper and backgrounds. So scroll down here, there's one which is called City Night. We'll find it eventually if I don't scroll through it. And yeah, basically I've taken it from here. Now, as you can see, this is the background image in question. As you can see, it's been set with a low opacity, so I can still see the code and it's still really easy to do my actual work. Now, we've also got a mode which allows the picture to be stretched actually over the IDE window, so it's going over the line numbers, and if you see here, it's actually even going over the sidebar. So let's have a look at how we can configure this. Tools, options, and then go into your search options, type in Claudia. And as you can see, we've got Claudia General, and we've got a load of options that we can configure. So first and foremost, if you just want a single image like I have, just do file path. Clicking on this will just allow you to upload any image. Again, you can see down here, we can set the slideshow options. Let's ignore that for the time being. Now, one thing you'll probably want to set is the opacity, because you want to make it really dark. You want to make sure that you can actually still read code as you're typing along. Now, to make the background image expand over the toolbar and over the line numbers, you want to make sure that expand to IDE is set to true. You also want to make sure that image stretch is set to fill. So this is going to take the whole image, stretch it over the whole page. And as you can see, this really does give your IDE that custom look. A huge chunk of every single developer's day is spent reading existing code. And any extension that we can install which help us more quickly understand existing code is basically going to be a massive productivity win. And this is what the next extension promises to do. And it's called Indent Rainbow. Now it does exactly what it says on the tin. So you'll get a color per indent in your code file. So let's have a look at this in action. So as you can see in my beautiful class here, in the first column we've got a yellow, then a green, red, pink, and yellow and green. The colors of the rainbow, as I said, does what it says on the tin. Now, I'm not sure about you. Personally, I've found that this is a really small tweak. However, it's really allowed me to more quickly understand the structure of how a class is organized when I'm skimming through stuff. And as you can see as we go through, it's very easy to see, where the class level nesting is, where the method level nesting is, if we've got any assignments or operators, or where our opening and closes, parentheses or braces lie. Now, granted, this might not be for everyone. However, personally, I found this a really good aid in helping me to more quickly read code, so I recommend that you give it a try. The next extension is also going to add that dash of color inside of Visual Studio to help improve readability. However, the difference with this plugin is that it's going to add that color inside of the output build window. The extension that I recommend that you check out is called VS Color Output 64. Downloaded over 20,000 times, it's pretty popular. Now what's going to happen after you install this extension, when you start doing your builds, you're going to get a traffic light color system being displayed in the output window. So out of the box, you just get vanilla white, and it's pretty difficult to differentiate between warnings, errors, and the different bits and bobs. As you can see, when we do a build with the extension installed, it's much easier to differentiate between the warnings and the errors. It's also much easier to see what we actually have to fix in each one. Now, for most developers, we're spending the majority of our time making a change, waiting for something to compile, and then checking that the change works. So anything which we can do to simplify that process and make it much quicker for us to spot where the bugs are is going to make us a lot more efficient over the long run. So again, very simple plugin, however, it can have huge effects on your productivity. Speaking of errors, the next extension is going to help you more easily identify where you've made a mistake within your code. And the extension is called Visual Studio Show Inline Errors. And you can see the plugin pretty plainly on the screen in front of us. So what this extension does is makes it very obvious and very shouty where we've made a mistake. So the plugin is configurable, and by default it will show the errors and warnings. So warnings in yellow, and if we make an error over here, you're going to see that a big red error line is going to pop up. Now, this plugin is kind of a bit like Marmite. You might find it a little bit annoying to have these massive warning signs appear. However, what I've found is that because they're so annoying, it's actually made me fix things in real time much quicker. So installing this plugin has helped me to craft better code, because let's be honest, being faced with the alternative is super annoying. So just to get rid of these errors, it's much quicker just to refactor things as you go. So again, very simple plugin. However, I found it's made a big difference. Before we move on to the next one, it's worth saying that if you go to Tools, go to Options, type in Inline, you have a few editing options here. So we can disable it for warnings if that gets a bit too annoying. We can do the same for errors, we can do null stuff. So yeah, pretty configurable, free. I recommend give it a try. After we finish looking at this extension, you're going to appreciate just how much I love a good visual extension. And the next one we're going to be looking at is called File Icons by Mad Christiansen. And Mad's, his name appears all over Marketplace. He's done loads of really useful extensions. So this one, what's going to happen is in Solution Explorer, instead of getting these drab, boring icons, we're going to get more specific icons, which are going to help us more easily identify the different types of files. Now, I think out of the box, it comes with something like 600 different icons. So as you can see, once you install it, right here, we're going to get the little Git icon. We're going to have things like the folder profile pub XML. And before installing these plugins, these icons would just be grey, dull, boring, white things. So again, simple plugin, install it, no configuration, just going to make Solution Explorer that much easier to navigate through. These next set of extensions are pretty much just the quick wins, so they're super simple, but whiz through them. However, they can make your life inside of the IDE just that little bit nicer. So first off, we have toggle comment. So this is going to basically emulate some Visual Studio Code functionality inside of Visual Studio. So in order to do a comment in Visual Studio, we do a Control K and a Control C. And then to undo a comment, we do a Control K and a Control U. So obviously that's quite a long-winded process and a few key combinations that we need to remember. So installing this plugin, we can just do Control and / and we've got a comment. Click it again, uncomment, and we can just do that. So only having to remember one key combination is much easier than having to remember two really complicated ones. Now, it's probably possible to map this inside of Visual Studio yourself nowadays. However, installing the plugin is just much easier. I'm lazy, so I'm going to do the lazy thing. Next up, we've got an extension by Mads Christiansen again. Props to that guy. So this one is Trailing White Space Visualizer. This is super simple. Most people don't see the benefit of having a white space visualizer. What happens is, when you're making these changes, any white space is going to be highlighted for you, and when you save your file, the plugin's gonna truncate them. So this can be really handy to avoid Git conflicts when you're merging, that kind of stuff. It's not gonna, be the most complicated plugin in the world. However, it can definitely help. Next up, another one by Mads. What a legend. Color preview. So color preview is going to give a little color preview within your hex colors in your CSS. So as you can see here, clicking on the color, I can change it. It allows me to preview what it is. It's just one of those time-saving tips which can make all the difference. Now the last one, strictly speaking, probably isn't necessary to install anymore, but it's called Select Next Occurrence. And again, this is going to emulate Visual Studio Code's capabilities inside of the IDE. So first off, if I put my finger on Alt, tippy-tappy around, you can see straight away I'm going to get multiple cursors and I can type. Now, if I now highlight that and do a Control D, it's going to select the next occurrence. And if I carry on pressing Control and D, it's going to select all the occurrences so I can quickly remove them. Now, the nice thing about this plugin is that we have loads of capabilities, so multiple occurrences, select next, select all. We also have from the extension page the comparison between select next occurrence and Visual Studio. So you can see that there's a few things that the extension does that VS 2022 doesn't. If you don't really like installing extra extensions, it's possible to go and map everything inside of the keyboard options within Visual Studio. So let's have a look at that. Tools, options. And then from here, you can see that we have keyboard. So from here, it's definitely possible to map things. But installing this plugin is for the lazies like me, where click, done, job's a good one. This next plugin is one of my favorites, and it's called WhackTime. So I've been using this for about 4 years now. It is a great extension. What happens is after you install it, it's going to start monitoring your performance inside of Visual Studio. So it's going to monitor things like what projects you're working on, where you're spending your time. Then after installing it, you're going to get access to a dashboard. In your dashboard, you're going to get loads of analytics and insights about where you've been spending your time. You're also going to get a weekly summary. So to install WhackTime, all you need to do is download it, install the extension. Then you're going to go over to WhackTime. From here, you can see that we've got this supported IDEs option. And on the home page here, you can see my breakdown. So I've done 12 hours of development in the last 7 days. You can see that I've been spending my time on some Markdown because I've been writing a book. I've been spending most of my time in VS Code rather than Visual Studio. Today I've spent an hour and a half creating this video basically. So this is the type of insights that you're going to get. Now, aside from being able to come into the dashboard, you're also going to get this weekly email where you can come in here and you can see, which projects you've been working on, pretty much all that data from the dashboard, but in a weekly summary. So to get started, as I said, go here, download the supported IDEs. You're going to get an API key. Then once you go inside of WhackTime itself, if you go to Tools and then go to WhackTime here, you can see there's little settings. Clicking on that, you just add in your API key and it's going to monitor everything, start sending you all these cool emails. So again, this is all free. Recommend you do it because you can get some really useful insights about actually how much time you spend coding per week. I consider the next two extensions essential for Visual Studio development. Now, the first one's paid and the second one's free, but what these tools will do is basically allow you to more easily refactor your code and craft better code in general. So we're going to do this by having real-time notifications about how your code can be restructured to fit better patterns. We're going to have automatic features, which is going to automatically remove code craft from your classes. We're also going to help introduce coding standards so you and your team write software that looks like it's been written by one voice rather than multiple different people. Now, the first extension is called ReSharper, and if you've ever used Visual Studio before, you're going to have heard of ReSharper. One of the reasons why I'm not going to cover it in this video, it is a paid for product. It's about 500 quid, £1,000 a year, whatever the license is. It is number one, the best refactoring tool for Visual Studio. It's going to make you a lot more productive, and I think the license cost will pay for itself just in terms of how productive and how much time saving benefits you can get from ReSharper. Now, if you don't have that budget, maybe you're starting off, maybe you're not working for a company, there is a great alternative which is called CodeMade. And CodeMade works complementary with ReSharper, if I'm honest, and CodeMade is just going to give you a number of really handy refactoring shortcuts. So if you scroll down, we can see that we've got code cleaning, code digging, reorganizing, formatting, all the kinds of refactoring things that you'd probably expect. So let's have a look at CodeMade in action. So what we can do is go to extensions, and within here you can see that we have this CodeMade. So at the top I can do clean active document. So if I click save, you can see that my usings have automatically been cleaned. You might not have noticed, but these private modifiers were automatically attached. Now, as you can see, I've still got a few warnings, like this one could be made read-only, or this name could be simplified. So CodeMade won't magically fix every single one of your warnings for you. However, using it, you're going to see a number of benefits. Now, another really cool thing that I like about CodeMade is that when you do a build, you can hopefully see it, you get this big green bar down the bottom. Just a visual sort of indicator of how your build's going, where it is. I mean, as you can probably tell by now, I like the visual things when I'm configuring stuff, so this little build bar makes me all happy inside. There are two additional extensions that I'd have loved to include in this review. However, at the time of recording, neither are fully available and supported. So the first one I'd recommend you checking out is GitHub Copilot, and the second one is called Tab 9. Now, both of these extensions are pretty much going to add AI into your IntelliSense. So as you're tapping along, you're going to get some clever suggestions which might auto-complete the line, or maybe even give you an idea for a method. And because it's using AI, this is going to save you a load of time. It might help you think about restructuring code in different ways that you never even considered. So Tab 9 has an extension in Visual Studio 2019, just not 2020 yet. And Copilot does have the extension, but the program is under beta. So unless you're a beta user, you won't be able to use it. So what I'm going to do in a future video is do a compare contrast, seeing which one is the best AI powered extension. So if that floats your boat, smash the subscribe button right now so you don't lose the chance. So this does wrap up this video. Please let me know your thoughts. Have I missed any extensions out? Do you think I'm a bit of a wally because I've included something which you just hate? I think going from 2019 to Visual Studio 2022, we have lost a load of plugins, so there are still a few things missing, which hopefully will get brought out in 2023, and I might do an update then as well. If you want to help me with the YouTube algorithm and make me happy and basically make your computer run 20% faster, hit the like button. Hitting like is basically guaranteed to overclock your PC without having to do anything else. Otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Going to be light-hearted and informative. Hope you're having a great day wherever you are in the world. Until next time, people, happy coding.